Hey everybody, this is Daniel Sombrano, and today I'm going to go over how to throw elbows at close quarter, so stay tuned. Okay guys, what I wanted to go over as far as elbows are concerned is a lot of times, I watch fights on MMA fights like on UFC, and I watch guys showing elbows on the YouTube, and just on other sites, and it's always the same thing, it's always the same way, and they don't get the full benefit of what you can do with elbows if they just adjust it just a little bit, and they would get more of a better impact when you strike with your elbows. So in this next segment, what I'm going to show you guys is how to get the full effect of an elbow, but just adjusting your hand position. Okay, so it does make a big difference, and you're going to cause a lot more impact and a lot more damage to the individual when you strike them if you do it this way. If you don't do it this way, well, you're going to see what happens after. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, so I want to throw elbows close quarter. Now, a lot of times what you're going to see guys do is when they get really close to the individual, when they start throwing elbows, they start hitting them. And if you watch a lot of the fights nowadays, when they're really close, especially on cage fighting, the guys are really next to each other and start throwing elbows at each other. What happens is the guys don't get knocked out. They don't get really hurt that bad. A few do, but the majority of guys don't go down when you get struck by elbows at close quarter. And if you watch it, you're going to sit there and say, well, if that's supposed to be a very powerful weapon, why is it that they're not going down really fast? And one of the reasons why is because, first of all, they're just so close to each other that they can't get that power to throw that elbow properly. And because of that, it's very short range, and they can't get in there and throw it with as much body weight power as they could. Okay, so one of the things you wanted to do is when you're throwing an elbow is drop your weight. So you just drop your weight when you're throwing an elbow, and that immediately will start adding more of your body weight to the weapon. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do is just start to drop your weapon, or drop the weight of your body into the strike to be able to hit harder. Okay, now the other thing you want to do is when you're throwing the elbow is drop it downward, slightly downward. Again, as you're dropping the weight, dropping downward adds more power, leverage, gravity to the strike. Okay, so it gives you more bite when you're hitting somebody in the head, or the shoulders or the arms or wherever you're striking with that elbow. Okay, so it's really important to drop that weight, bring that elbow down, and you're striking. Okay, and when you do that, you're going to get a lot more impact and a lot more power. Okay, when you're throwing that strike. Now, another thing you want to do when you're throwing that elbow is you want to be able to move that shoulder. If you move the shoulder, you'll be able to get more strike in your strike. You'll be able to throw more power in that strike if you snap the shoulder forward. Okay, so you need to start snapping your shoulder. If you snap your shoulder, you're going to get more power when you're throwing your elbow. So in the next segment, I'm going to show you what to do to increase the striking force of your elbow. So stay tuned. Okay, so the next thing I want you to watch is how to add more power in your elbow by doing this one thing, which is you must always turn the little pinky upward when you're throwing your strike. If you don't turn it upward, what's going to happen is you're going to hit with muscle. So the closer you get to the individual, the more muscle you're going to hit when you strike with your elbow. But as soon as you turn your pinky up, you're going to hit with bone. Okay? So turning it upward makes it hit with bone. Turning it downward makes it hit with muscle. Okay? Now that's especially important when you're getting really close to the individual, because an elbow is like 6 to 8 inch weapon. So when you're going to be close to that individual and you start throwing this way with the pinky downward, what you're doing is you're hitting them with your muscles, so it's a softened weapon. So when you do that, it doesn't cause that much impact, and you're basically hitting them with pillows. Okay, and he can take and sustain that force very easily because you're hitting them with your muscle. But you turn that pinky upward, and you're hitting them with bone. Now, the reason why that happens, guys, is because when you're throwing an elbow, you got basically two joints, the wrist joint and the shoulder joint, to turn. Okay, one of the two has to turn. So if it's going to be the shoulder turn, because the pinky didn't turn up, you're going to get a wider radius or an arc when you're throwing your elbow, because obviously the joint is bigger up here than it is down here. But if you turn here in the wrist, okay, it's quicker, and it aligns that bone of the forearm, strikes it harder. Okay, so always turn your pinky upward when you're striking. All right, guys. So what I'm going to show you right now is how to use more of the shoulder snap. Okay. So when you're throwing elbows at close quarter, all right. So you're going to be here, and you're going to snap the shoulder forward. Okay, as you're throwing the elbow, and so the pinky obviously comes up, and you're going to snap it. Okay. So the pinky is here. I'm a little bit slow so you can see it. It's here, turns, and then my shoulder snaps it. Okay. Now, when you do this, you can be close to the bag and just turn it and snap it. Okay. What I usually like to do is I just put my hand on the bag close and just snap it. So from here, snap it. Again, keeping the pinky up when I snap it. Okay. Now, again, it's the snapping, turning up of the pinky, dropping the weight, okay, striking downward, okay, and the other one is driving forward with your weight when you're striking. So you're pushing off from the lead or the rear foot, driving forward to come into the individual and use that forward leverage, forward pressure on the individual. That will give you the maximum benefit of taking out somebody. Okay, so again, using that forward leverage, keeping that pinky up, we'll be able to nail that individual with a solid bone of your forearm. Okay, now like I said before, okay, one of the two joints, obviously you got three joints. You got your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder joint, but the elbow joint has nothing to do with it. It's the wrist or the shoulder. Okay, one of the two is going to turn. And like I said before, if the shoulder turns, it's going to give you a wider radius to throw from versus the wrist, which is going to be smaller, quicker, more condensed radius when you're throwing the strike of the elbow. Okay. Now, another thing that's important about that is if you see some guy with his hands here and you throw from the shoulder, obviously that radius is going to be a little bit wider, and so you're going to hit him more on the outside of the forearms. Okay, so he can block, take the shot of your elbow. Okay, but if you turn from the wrist, okay, all of a sudden that elbow is not as wide, it's more narrower, and it's almost more straighter, so it comes in the inside of his guard. So you'll be able to hit him in here a lot easier and faster with the turning of the wrist, okay? And it'll come right inside the individual's guard and hit him on the jaw, neck, chest area, okay? And so it's gonna be harder for him to block. So that's another reason why you wanna learn how to turn from the wrist as opposed to the shoulder, okay? So there's nothing wrong with learning how to throw an elbow from the shoulder, but once you get comfortable with that, start learning to throw it from the wrist, okay? Turning that pinky up and turning at the wrist and being able to drive forward and strike somebody with a very solid forearm bone as opposed to forearm muscle, okay? So that's how you're going to be able to throw that elbow with a lot of power and explosiveness. All right, guys, we come to the end of the video, and it was a short video, but I just wanted to go over how to throw that elbow properly, as opposed to the way everybody else throws it. Okay, it's going to be causing much more damage to the person you're fighting if you do it this way than if you do it the other way. Okay, so the key points is turn the finger up, pinky finger up as you throw your elbow, able to hit more harder with the bone of the forearm. Okay. Elbows are usually 6 to 8 inch weapons, so obviously you're going to have to be in closer. But the problem is the closer you are, the most likely the guy's going to hit it with the muscle of the forearm as opposed to the bone. Okay? The other thing is driving forward, dropping your weight, bringing your elbow down, which is going to give you more of that leverage and power to put that body weight behind that strike, cause more damage. Okay? Snapping the elbow will be making it more explosive. Okay? And you'll be able to give it a lot of explosive power in a short range of motion than you would if you just did it with a longer, wider arc strike, okay, of the elbow. So it's not going to be as powerful. It's going to be more blunt, okay? So it's going to just be like you're hitting them with a hard pillow, basically. And that's why a lot of guys, when you see them on YouTube in the cage fight, you see them throwing elbows and what have you, and they're able to take them, you know, because they're used to taking these blunt type of attack weapons and being able to absorb that power, okay? But when you start throwing them the proper way, you're going to start seeing that it starts cutting and starts hitting with the bone, so it's a lot worse and it causes a lot more damage in a short range of motion, because you know how to drop the weight, how to drive forward, how to bring it down, how to snap the shoulder, how to turn the pinky up, hit it with the bone, and it will cause a lot more damage. Okay, so when you're fighting, especially in the street, this is the way you want to be able to throw your strikes when you're throwing your elbows. Okay, it's going to be more powerful, and it's going to cause a lot of damage to the individual when you strike them in this way. So practice it, I guess, with a heavy bag, or practice it with a partner with Thai pads, okay, or focus mitts. All right, and let yourself drive into the individual. When your partner holds the mitts or the Thai pads, don't have him come down on you like this or patty cake it. Just have him hold it there and just isometrically, or like with the dynamic tension, just hold it so you can take the hit. So that makes you have to come to the pad, okay? You want to go to the pad, okay? Don't let the pad come to you, you come to it. But they hold it here and dynamically hold it and tighten it up like isometrically to be able to take impact, okay? And as you do that, you're going to get used to driving and striking close. And do it close. Do it this close. Boom, because this is pretty much where you're going to need to be able to throw that elbow, okay? You're not going to be way, way out here. It's a close quarter weapon, so you're going to be pretty close. So you're going to get used to throwing that elbow close, all right? So this is Daniel Sombrano telling you, don't just hit him, punch a hole through him. Take care, and we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.